good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is podcast from Orlando, Florida, on this awesome and international podcast, Good Wine and Great Left, Season 9, Episode 7, ladies and gents. And today is Saturday, September the 14th, 2024, and the weather here in Orlando is going to be with isolated thunderstorms in the morning and mostly cloudy in the afternoon, highs of 89 degrees and lows of 74, ladies and gents. If you are new to my YouTube channel, I am Casanova, and welcome to Casanova. And what I do here on every Saturday morning at 10 a.m., you're going to see the wine of the day as well the topic of the day, ladies and gents. All the topics that I bring to this YouTube channel is to discuss topics that affect our lives directly or indirectly. Also, ladies and gents, I was able to figure out about my Spotify, because I told you there was issue with the new format and the new software that they have. So now I'm able to have this also on Spotify. So if you go to Spotify, go see the video just like YouTube. And if you have any platform that doesn't have a video, you can definitely listen to the audio of the episode, ladies and gents. And if you like what I do, I appreciate if you click on the like button. Please click on the subscribe button, and if you like to share with your family and friends, I appreciate that very, very, very much, ladies and gents. So let's jump on the wine of the day. This is another wine from the country of Georgia, and I like the way the cork has when to put the cork out. First of all, there's a seal. The reason I like it because it reminds me of the ancient civilizations, the ancient Greeks and the Romans, of the way that they used to bottle the wine bottles. I like the design of this wine here, and it's called Medea Semi Valley. And you can, I don't know if you can see the name right here. There's just a little label right there, ladies and gents. And on the label it states that it's from the dark Kakheti region. This wine is a semi-sweet red wine. Contains sulfites, and alcohol percent of this wine is 12% alcohol. There's no other too much details about it. And like I always do, ladies and gents, if you're new to my YouTube channel, you can see here on my social medias, I always have a picture of the wine of the day. That if you like my review, if you like what I talked about this wine, you're more than welcome to go to my one of these two, as well as LinkedIn, and going to see a clear picture of the wine. I always put the season for today is season 9, episode 7. So you're going to see season 9, episode whatever, and the picture of the wine of the day. I found this wine at Costco in Orlando, ladies and gentlemen. So I don't know if the local Costco can find it, because the first time I saw this wine, I was in Fort Myers, on the other side of Southwest Florida. Then I saw this wine at Costco. I say I do not pay no mind. I like the bottle, but I'm not gonna get it once I get home. I can go to Costco. I went to Costco locally, and they did not have it. So I went there this past week, and I was looking for some other type of wine, and I finally found it. So that's the wine of the day. So let's stop talking. Too much talking already. Let's start drinking. Right, beautiful color. I love it. Love it. Very dark burgundy color. Give this wine right here. This one is very good. Very, very good. Semi-sweet. That's that little hint of sweetness in your palate, and also you can feel the tannins, but it's not too heavy. I give a 9.5 for this wine, ladies and gents. Very good wine. This wine definitely. Hopefully I can go back to Costco to see they still have this before sold out. Very, very good wine, ladies and gents. Very good. So let's jump before we start talking about the topic of the day. And if you saw on the thumbnail, the topic of the day, ladies and gentlemen, is the Trump and Harris 2024 presidential debate. But before I start playing some videos, while I drink this wine right here, please take a cat, take a pet, take a dog, take all the pets that you got out of the living room. Because, I don't see your pets afraid of what Donald Trump is going to say, some stupidity that he always opens his mouth to talk some dumb stuff, ladies and gentlemen. So, it is show time.
A fact check now of the debate. CNN senior reporter Daniel Dale was listening closely to both candidates. Daniel, what stood out to you?
Jake, what stood out was that this was a staggeringly dishonest debate performance from former President Trump. Just lie after lie on subject after subject. By my preliminary count, Jake, Trump made at least 33 false claims, 33. By contrast, by, again, a preliminary count, Vice President Harris made at least one false claim, though she added at least a few misleading claims and a few more that lack key context. I think a lot of Americans say, well, all politicians lie. No major presidential candidate before Donald Trump has ever lied with this kind of frequency. A remarkably large chunk of what he said tonight was just not true. And this wasn't like little exaggeration, political spin. A lot of his false claims were untethered to reality. On abortion, saying every Democrat wanted Roe v. Wade overturned, though actually more than 80% of Democrats supported Roe. On crime, saying it's through the roof, though it's actually sharply down since early 2023. It's now lower than it was since Trump left office. On healthcare, saying he's the one who saved Obamacare, the law he actually repeatedly tried to overturn. On Kamala Harris herself, saying that a Howard University grad, Black Law Students Association president, had claimed that she wasn't black at one point. Frankly, I don't have enough time here to run through each specific Trump false claim. I urge people to go to our CNN website or our app to read our team's detailed fact checks on this and a whole bunch more. For now, though, let's dive into one false claim Trump made, an egregious claim about migrants supposedly eating people's pets.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
This is not only false, I think it's fair to call this odious. This, for people who have not been online in the last couple of days, this claim about migrants, Haitian migrants in Springfield, Ohio, eating people's pets originated with a Facebook post that attributed the claim to a neighbor's friend's daughter. So, a third-hand broken telephone kind of thing. The city of Springfield and the Springfield police say there are no credible reports of this happening. And even J.D. Vance, the vice presidential candidate who himself had promoted these claims, acknowledged this morning that the, quote, rumors might turn out false, although he still encouraged people to spread these cat memes. Now, I'll note that Trump himself added dogs to the equation. They had not even been part of these viral nonsense rumors before. Now, let's look at one false claim that Vice President Harris did make about the economic situation that the Biden-Harris administration was left by Trump.
Let's talk about what Donald Trump left us. Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. And what we have done is clean up Donald Trump's mess.
So the Biden-Harris administration was not actually left the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. They were left a 6.4% unemployment rate in January 2021. That was certainly elevated by recent standards, pretty high, but it was significantly down from the 14.8% level it reached early in the pandemic. So it was already improving at the time the Biden-Harris administration took office. And that 6.4% level was the highest since the Great Recession. So in the last 20 years, not going back decades further. Anderson?
Daniel, thanks very much. A lot to go through. We appreciate it.
Joining me now to discuss all this, Leah Wright-Rigueur, CNN political analyst and historian, Ron Brownstein, CNN political analyst, Bakari Sellers, also a CNN political commentator, and David Polyansky, who is a Republican strategist. Welcome to all of you. Thanks for starting off. I feel like I just kind of went to bed after the debate, in fairness, so I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me. Ron Brownstein, let's start with the big picture here, because there were such high stakes for Kamala Harris in this debate. She had not been in this kind of forum before. She was facing someone who had been on this stage multiple times. I have to say the Democrats that I talked to are absolutely thrilled this morning. Is that your takeaway too? What are you looking at?
I think the only way that debate could have gone better for her would have been if it was on October 20th and not September 10th, which is not an inconsiderable point. You know, I felt after the first debate with Biden that if not for Biden's obvious deterioration, we would have been talking about how much Donald Trump's capacity to deliver an argument, to stay on point, to craft a message had declined. And that's what we saw tonight. I mean, the age contrast, the energy contrast, the vigor contrast.
Last night, technically.
You know, or last night. Yeah, I guess it was still one. One of the key problems Democrats have faced in this race is that Donald Trump's retrospective job approval rating has been increasing to a point where it has been higher in many polls than it was at any point during his presidency. Now, why is that? It's because voters, I think, have been judging him mostly through the lens of what they didn't like about Biden, particularly inflation. What the debate did last night was remind voters everything else that comes with Donald Trump. And just one last point. Trump sounded like someone who was calling into a Fox News show. I mean, he has spent so much time speaking to his core audience, which is still a strength. And, he's going to turn out a lot of those people that I think he had lost the ability to talk to a broader audience, defending the January 6th rioters, saying that everybody wanted Roe v. Wade to be overturned, claiming again that he won the election, and kind of the peak of this, insisting that in a very kind of racist argument that immigrants are eating people's cats and dogs. He looked like someone who was coming out of a dark movie theater into sunshine and kind of squinting because he has spent so much time talking to this narrow universe. He really had nothing to say to a broader audience. Now, real quick, I mean, the underlying realities are still there. 60% of Americans think they are not better off because of the policies of the Biden administration. When Trump was able to get to that, it's a reminder that those are going to be headwinds for Harris, but she could have not done any more than she did last night.
Well, David Polyansky and Leah, I want you to weigh in, and honestly, I want everybody to weigh in on this. But David, I'd like you to address this point of because I got multiple notes from people saying, well, it's like I think we have seen which candidate is entirely online because there were these moments where Trump was focused on issues that seem very in one corner of the universe. I was talking to, it's anecdata, but when you get text from all your family members who don't really pay attention to this stuff until a big moment like this, they're kind of like, what is this? What is he talking about?
I don't know fully, but look, I think last night, all of us that have been a part of politics for most of our adult lives and participated in debates know one truism, which is if you end up sending your candidate to the spin room after a debate, you didn't win. Yeah. And last night, Donald Trump went to the spin room inexplicably and took questions from the press. The vice president went to a debate watch party. It's a pretty good sign of where they both felt the night ended up. And, in terms of the message, well, look, she was incredibly well prepared. Make no mistake. You could see that from the start. But I think the most important part of it was she was on offense from the minute not only the minute she started talking, but the minute she walked on stage. She walked across to former President Trump's podium and made him shake her hand. She was prepared, she was confident, and she was on offense from the start. And I think that played into his worst fears in terms of not only not being able to proactively drive his message, but to your point, fall back to what he's comfortable with, which is more conservative media.
I mean, I think from the very beginning, one of the things that Ron brought up was that those of us who watched Joe Biden versus Donald Trump realize is that Donald Trump gave the second worst debate performance in American history. The problem was that the person who gave the worst debate in American history was also on that stage. And so when you actually take...
Now you've been freed to say that.
When you take
Where
Joe
were you
Biden...
2 months ago?
Listen, 75 days makes a lot of difference. When you take Joe Biden out of that debate, you see someone who is not capable. And that gave Kamala Harris a little bit of the confidence. Look, she was nervous the first 5, 6, 7 minutes. Everybody saw it. And she had the ability to bait him and counterpunch him. And that's what I said this debate was going to be about. It reminded me so much of Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney, which was a fight that happened maybe 3 months ago.
You're going to have to fill me in on that one.
Yeah. But no, I mean, and Devin Haney was supposed to be a jabber and a good puncher, and Ryan Garcia was a counterpuncher. And Kamala Harris came out and she baited, she used the jab, and then she counterpunched. She counterpunched. She was able to hit him, pivot, and move to the American people. Last night you saw someone who was very prepared, and you knew about 9:28, I think I marked it. 9:28 was when this thing was over. That's when she went into the rallies. When she started talking about his rallies, which for him is his manhood.
It wasn't clear it was going to be over at that point.
Oh, but no. I
once
think
he sort of came back at her.
Those of us around the orbit said, look, at that point, he was going to unravel, it was going to go downhill, and she was going to be able to find a groove. Up until that point, it might have been even, it might have been nip and tuck.
The abortion answer was before that. That was pretty strong.
She was strong, though. She was strong. But he unraveled.
Yeah.
He unraveled on rallies. She gave a very sound answer on reproductive freedom, scoring on substance, but he was done for after she questioned the size of his.
Well, it was two-pronged, right? Because on the one hand, she had to make a case for herself and her own policies, and she was put on comfortable footing when she was asked near at the top of the debate about abortion, and we saw that some of that nervousness fade away when she did that. And Leah, then, as Bakari points out, the other thing that she was clearly had spent a lot of time practicing was how to get under Donald Trump's skin. And the other thing that kept sticking out to me, too, was that she clearly had studied how to use the split screen to her own advantage. And we've seen times when that can cause problems for candidates. I mean, when Barack Obama debated Mitt Romney the first time, it was the way he looked kind of agitated in the box next to Mitt Romney that made it seem as though he was struggling. She was doing things like this. I mean, and if you've opened your social media feed this morning, that is what you are seeing.
Yeah, and I think also one of the things that she did really quite effectively is she has this line that she's been repeating over and over on the campaign trail, which is that Donald Trump is a deeply unserious man. He is a deeply unserious candidate who has serious consequences for the American public. Those facial expressions, that mastery of the split screen, was all about showing the nation just how unserious but how dangerous he is.
All right, ladies and gents, the next video is going to be the aftermath debate on Roland Martin Unfiltered about some members of the Black Caucus that watched the debate with him, and then now they are giving their 2 cents about the debate.
All right, folks, you've been watching the ABC News presidential debate between Vice President Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. As we saw the end there. Henry, go to my iPad. This is all I could think about right there was when Roberto Duran and Sugar Ray Leonard, when they were fighting, and Roberto Duran just said, you know what, I'm tired of getting my ass whooped. No mas, no mas. He just waved him off. He was like, you know what, I can't even just, just end this. Let me just go ahead and go home because that's it. That's what this was, y'all. We got 14 CBC members in the House. That was one hell of a debate performance. To my left, Congressman Stephen Horst from Nevada, Chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, Congresswoman Barbara Lee of California, Congressman Gregory Meeks of New York, Alpha Man, also Congressman Horford, Alpha Man, my bad, Congresswoman Joyce Beatty from Ohio, Congressman Bobby Scott from Virginia, Alpha Man. We got Congressman Jim Clyburn of South Carolina, he Omega, but at least he's an Archon. Only takes one, because y'all ain't got that many. And of course, Congresswoman Maxine Waters from California as well. Y'all, we got 7 other CBC members coming up next after this here. Congressman, I'm gonna start with you since you're the chair. Oh my God.
She focused on the American people. She talked about the fact that this debate was about them and their future. This is a clear contrast between 2 visions for America She offered clear plans, clear policies that spoke to them. Donald Trump only talked about one person, himself. Over and over again, he kept bringing it to himself. This election is not about him. It's about all of us. And Kamala Harris is a candidate who wants to reach and to lead and to deliver for all Americans, and that's what she talked about. She opened on the economy, bringing down costs. She talked about a woman's right to protect her own freedom to make the healthcare decisions about her body. She talked about immigration and the need to actually address the border crisis and the fentanyl crisis. And it was Donald Trump who walked away from a bipartisan deal that would have solved the problem, but he doesn't want to do that. He wants to keep the problem going. So I think she did a phenomenal job, but it's ultimately the people who will decide this election in 56 days.
Congresswoman Maxine Waters, she called that man disgrace several times to his face. She got under his skin.
She absolutely did, and he fell for the bait because she looked him in the face and said to him what he never thought that he would hear from her. She held her own. You know, I'm so proud of her. The American people got to see what is competence, what public policy is all about. They got to see a leader who was intelligent, a leader who understood the needs of the American people and talked about bringing us together. She had to confront him in a way that most people didn't even know that she would take him on in the way that she did, but she took him on this evening. And she was right there telling him what he was and what he wasn't. As a matter of fact, disgrace is what stood out. She said it more than once. And I think the American people saw that. They understood that when they heard it. And so I'm so proud of her. She has really demonstrated her competence, her intelligence, and she wore him out on international relations. She was brilliant. He couldn't even respond. He couldn't even get in the debate. All he could do is talk about his friend Putin and the fact that, oh, give him a chance, he'll stop everything before he's ever elected. He's never going to be elected again. I'm sitting here this
evening, of Jesus.
And I understand thoroughly, maybe for the first real time, that we have before us the next president of the United States of America, Kamala Harris.
Congressman Clyburn, everybody talked about her need to prosecute him. Damn, did she prosecute him? I don't think he want to see another black female prosecutor in his life.
Absolutely. I think that she acquitted herself very well by prosecuting him extremely well. And I think that the American people got a chance tonight to see the contrast. Are we going to have a future where the dreams and aspirations of their children and grandchildren can be realized, or are we going to spend the next several years in chaos? That's the contrast. I think she showed the American people that we can have tranquility, that we can have opportunity, that we can have freedoms, that we can have an America that all can benefit from. I think that, as Maxine just said, we just saw the first woman president of these United States of America.
I got to go to Congresswoman Lee on that one. I opened up in the beginning. I asked you about the late Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm. I mean, Vice President Harris stayed on the offense constantly. She did not relent. She did not back up. She stayed on offense.
Roland, like Shirley Chisholm, Kamala Harris showed that she's a fighter. She showed tonight that she's a fighter for the people. But she also showed that she was very presidential, that she's prepared, she's experienced, she knows what she's talking about, she has an agenda, and she has integrity. She's authentic, and I think tonight people saw through her authenticity. And they saw that she was a uniter also, and that she's bringing people together. What she saw with Donald Trump, I mean, this man showed his meanness. He showed that he's a fearmonger. that he's divisive, and that he's angry, and that he's full of hate. This country doesn't need hate. This country needs a Kamala Harris to bring us together, and she demonstrated tonight that as president, she will do that. And I agree. I think we witnessed tonight the next president of these United States of America who's going to fight for the people.
Oh, yeah.
Congressman Bobby Scott, when that fool sat there and repeated that Haitian eating animals lie, I mean, right there, you knew how nuts he was. And then he just started flailing. That was at one point, that was one stretch. I don't think anybody knew what the hell he was talking about. Because everybody in the room was kind of like, what was the subject? I mean, he was just all over the place. She completely had him flustered.
In stark contrast to her presentation, which was strong, confident, and on point throughout. He was meandering around and making up lies like, on reproductive care, everybody wanted states' rights. No. Civil rights, those who support civil rights never support states' rights. That's the battle cry of the segregationists.
Right.
They wanted states' rights. And she pointed out when you have states' rights, they get to do what they want to do in those states. But there was an overriding theme in the whole thing, and that is how you address a problem. Kamala sees the problem as an opportunity to fix it and make life better for people. He views it as an opportunity to complain, get people all worked up, blame the Democrats, but do nothing. And she caught him on the border. Here you have a problem. He's complaining, blaming the Democrats, complaining. You have a solution. He kills the solution. And then what? Goes back to complaining. Well, no. If you have a problem, you ought to talk about solutions. And in the end, he said, well, she's talking about creating jobs. Why don't you create some jobs? He must have missed the point that this administration has created more jobs in 4 years than any administration in the history of the United States. In fact, they'd broken the record in the first 2 years. So I don't know.
And those were not bounce back jobs.
Exactly.
Well, wait a minute.
Because he tried to claim they were bounce back jobs.
Let's talk about bounce back. Bounce back from what? Bounce back from a miserable economy.
Right.
I mean, he kind of, by using that term, he kind of gives it away, that it was, in fact, a miserable economy, and we were bouncing back. But we bounced back so much that we created a record in the first 2 years, more jobs after that. We've created more jobs than anybody in history. By the end of this administration, they would have created more jobs in 4 years than any Republican has done in 8.
Congressman Meeks, House Foreign Relations Committee, foreign policy was a huge part of this. He quotes a dictator saying that they want me back. She dog-walked him on Ukraine, on the border, on Putin. I said, did this fool quote Viktor Orban? Really?
He did.
It's unbelievable. Look, to me, he seemed old, disoriented, knew no policy, surely didn't know foreign policy. When you're talking about leading, you lead by uniting. NATO is now stronger than ever before. Fact of the matter, when you look at Sweden and Finland is now a part of NATO. That's strength, led by the United States of America. You're not out there by yourself when you say you don't need anybody. That's basically what he was saying. He's confused. When you look at what's taking place on the South Pacific, you see countries coming together, working together against his friend, Vladimir Putin. You see them coming together and working against his boyfriend, Kim Jong-un, in North Korea, who continued to write letters.
They love letters.
Love letters. They're love letters. When you think about what's taking place in regards to strengthening America. And one of the things that was clear to me, because one of the things that I will never forget, what he called countries on the continent of Africa, when he called them S-hole countries.
No, we have to say shithole nations.
Okay. Yes. So what he thinks, and I couldn't help but look at this also, to look at it as a black man, which I think is very important. Because he looked at black men only having a certain type of job. And he tried to say, he didn't say black this time, he tried to say African American. But if you listen to what the vice president was talking about, She was talking about creating businesses
Right.
and making sure people had access to capital. As a black man, I want to do a business. I need what hurts us is access to capital. She's saying, well, I want to put $50,000 up front to give me access. As a black man, that's what I want to do to take care of my family. So she showed real strength and determination on how we can keep our families intact and be proud. She talked about having health care so that and having it affordable. So I don't have to worry about at night how I'm going to take care of my family because it's being put in place. So she hit all of those elements, whether it was foreign policy and whether it was domestic policy. And as a black man, what will I need to strengthen me and strengthen my family so I can stand up? She spoke for me as a black man.
Congresswoman Beatty, when you have these debates, you can do two things. You could get so much into the weeds on your policy that you ignore fighting back, or you can get so locked in on fighting back on the lies you forget your policy. I thought that was great balance, where it was like, okay, let me knock his ass out, come back to my plan. And it was also an uplifting plan. Yeah. Everything for him was horrible, pathetic. It was all doom and gloom, as opposed to what is hopeful or what is promising.
Absolutely. Tonight, I've never been prouder. She answered so many things. We saw tonight what a presidential candidate should look like. We saw her scholarship, we saw her temperament, but we also saw that she's a fighter, that she would stand up to the American people and she wouldn't run away. I'm so proud to join my colleagues and hold this sign tonight, because the number one thing we've been hearing across all of our states, who is Kamala Harris? Well, tonight she answered that question. She answered what we already know. We've had the pleasure to serve with her in Congress. She's a member of the Congressional Black Caucus. She swore all of us in when she became vice president. She came to the caucus and the Congress and talked about the issues. But tonight, she fought for the American people. And what I really liked about it, she looked directly in the camera. She didn't play to the set or to Donald Trump.
Right.
She spoke to the American people and she gave them hope. She told them that she would fight for all of our freedoms. She talked to women. She talked international policy and foreign policy. There was not a topic that she wasn't able to articulate. And as you said, it was clear she could get in the weeds with data and fact, but she came right out of it and spoke to the everyday people. Yep. She has a plan. He had no plan. He has no policies. He even admitted, well, I got a concept or two. And the more he talked, the more we saw that the discriminating and discriminatory things that he would say, and we saw her standing up for the people.
We have a second CBC panel. I'm going to throw this out, and everybody can make their final comments. But y'all serve in Congress. Did that fool say he saved the Affordable Care Act? Did I?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, you did.
Yes, he did.
What? He did everything to try to kill it.
Exactly.
60 times.
Yeah.
Everything.
And Project 2025 would kill Medicare, Social Security, defund the Department of Education.
But he said he don't know anything about it. He doesn't want to read it.
When somebody gives you a playbook, like Coach Wall says, they plan to use it.
Exactly.
They've written 900 pages of a playbook, and they plan to use it. That's why the American people, it's incumbent upon us to make sure he never has the opportunity to implement that plan.
Well, let me just say what struck me, among other things, was when he talked about all of our enemies, how much they like him, Putin and Kim Jong-un. She said, yeah, because they know they can manipulate you.
Yeah.
You talked about health care. He did have a plan to replace Obamacare. CBO scored it, reviewed it. It would increase costs 20% the first year, 20-some million fewer people would have insurance. If you have a pre-existing condition, you start losing your protection, and the insurance you get probably going to be worse than what you have because it didn't have essential benefits. That's the kind of situation he had. And we talked about jobs. We had the record jobs. They had the worst job performance in about 100 years. Their economy was one where you had ended up with long lines to the food bank. And when was the last time you had trouble finding toilet paper? During his great economy. I mean, calling it a great economy doesn't make it a great economy. He had the worst economy in modern history. And so the stark contrast of her accomplishments and her confident, strong, on-point description of what she's going to do, and his meandering, mostly lies, can't understand what he's talking about anyway, I think is a strong contrast in what we're talking about.
You started out saying that to you, this was like Roberto Duran saying no mas. I will end with this. This was a thriller and a chiller with Kamala and the gorilla.
All right, ladies and gents, the debate continue on Roland Martin, but I'm not going to play the whole thing. I have the link under the description that you can watch the entire recording from Roland Martin from the before. Pre-debate, the debate, and pause debate. So you can watch the whole thing. I'm not going to play because it was about like 3 hours or 3 hours or something. So I'm just playing some clip of the thing. But like I say, once again, we'll go to the description. The link's right there. You can watch the entire thing if you like to, ladies and gents. So my 2 cents about that, ladies and gents. I love it. She, in the beginning, yeah, she came kind of slow, feeling the terrain. You know how she gonna do it, but she came hard. I really like when she brought to the attention of the public what he did with the Central Park 5. 4 black guys and 1 Latino that they have an incident. The white woman that was jogging, somebody attacked her, ended up raping and kill her, and they end up putting the guilty on these 5 young fellows at the time. If you never heard about the story, there's a Netflix special about that. You can watch the whole series about what happened back in the 80s. And the entire, Donald Trump has the entire first page, I think was the newspaper in New York. I can't remember the exact name right now. But that he claimed and he was not pushing to the death penalty of all 5 young people. And then finally, after time passed by and they were exonerated, he never had the decency to apologize. And to this day, he never apologized to these people. So my point of view, ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump is a disgrace. And another thing too that he keeps saying about the immigrants going to bleed now, infect or poison the blood of America. First of all, if you look at his family tree, his grandfather, that's the first one that came to the United States, I believe was from Germany. I saw some I think it was on TikTok related to about his grandfather that was a crook back in the days. His father that he built all this empire also was a member of the KKK. His mother was a descendant of Scotland. I don't know if she was a Scotland herself, but she was her parents came from Scotland and came to the United States. So for him to talk about the immigrant, the parts of the blood of America, he's a perfect example of that immigrant, because everything about Trump, ladies and gents, is negativity. Unless the only thing that he talked about that is great, everything is wonderful when he talks about himself or what he's going to do. For those that have a short memory, remember that he said that Mexico is going to pay for the wall. Mexico never gave a dime. He said that he has a huge plan for the health care to replace Obamacare. It's coming next week. It's coming the next 4 weeks. It's around the corner. It's coming. And all his term never came. And on debate that he had this week, he said, I have some kind of plan. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, if he don't talk about himself, and Donald Trump is a crook, man. Now, if you want to believe in Donald Trump and you're a part of the cult and you think that this man is innocent, now for those, you are just poisoned by his blood and to believe that everything that he say is true, and it's not. Donald Trump is a crook. That's what he does. His entire life was being deceived with Trump Steak, Trump University, Trump Airline. It's this casino. Who the hell is going to lose money in casino? The house never lose money. Casino never lose money when they're well administrated. Trump is a crook. He doesn't care. He said that's one of these rallies that he literally said that I don't care about you, I just care about your vote. Don't believe me? Go back and look at Trump's rally. That wasn't this rally that he literally said that I don't care about you, I just care about your vote. So, and then a lot of people also is just think about you as an individual. What can I give? For all these black people that say, I'm going to vote for Trump because, he gave me the stimulus check. He didn't. The only thing that he delayed the distribution of that stimulus during COVID is because he wanted his signature on the check to let the people think that he the one that gave, but now it was the Congress. That was Democratic Congress that passed the law to make sure that everything passed for the people, not Trump. So if you are focused on facts, and if you are concerned about your life right now, your future, and the future of your kids, if you're concerned about that and the future of the nation, for a better nation for everybody, we the people, every individual of this country has now the right to thrive and deserve the opportunity to have a level field for everybody. Because if you do the work, you have the thing to help you out. You're going to vote for Kamala. Now, if you are a CEO, a corporation, or somebody that has made a lot of money, you focus on yourself, you're going to vote for Trump. Because the only things that he's focused about is, first of all, number one, take his ass out of jail. Number two, he should have more money in the pocket. So that means if you get a cut to the rich, he's going to benefit of that. But the economy is saying that if Trump go back to the office, the economy is going to sink. So if you think it's bad right now, all of this inflation, gas prices right here in my neighborhood I live in Orlando, last week was $2.99. So I drove today going to work. When I was going to work was $3.09. When I came back from work later, about 5-6 hours later, it's about $3.06. So the gas prices fluctuated. Now, talking about the food prices, and then one thing to talk about, that she's going to price gouging on supermarkets. She's going to fight on that. Small business is going to have a bunch of laws. So she has a plan. She literally has a plan for everybody, not only for Trump. So ladies and gents, if you like I say, if you are about facts, if you're about the conscience, if you have kids and you're concerned about their future and your future of the rest of your life on this country, on this planet, you're going to make it's easy. There's no discussion. Who is the best candidate for be the next president of the United States. Clear. Now, if you're about the cult, like I say, if you worship Trump, you're about the cult, or if you're racist, or yada, 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 you think that Trump is the solution. Like I say, my job, I have a lot of people that it's Trump, but Trump won't try to get rid of the union. And most of the people that work where I work are part of the union. So you vote against your own interest. Make this sense. So ladies and gentlemen, that's what the podcast is all about. I now give credit to CNN. I give credit to Roland Martin. And like I say, if you look in the description, that's the credits and the link of both the videos that I play for. And if you want to continue watching the pause debate on Roland Martin, very interesting, very good. I encourage you to watch it. Click on that link. It's going to take you directly to Roland Martin Unfiltered, and you can watch the rest of the debate. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is your boy Casanova. Please be safe, be kind, and be blessed. and do the best of what you can do, what you got. And I see you. Salute. Let me finish this wine. And I see you next Saturday. Make sure that you register to vote. Some state by this month of September is going to, for those that vote by mail, you know, supposed to receiving, pay attention. You're supposed to receive a ballot in the mail come soon. I always go to the early votings. I go to the place that's voting. And one thing about Florida that I like here is because they have the little information, all the Democratic Party send information about all the candidates from the Democratic Party on that particular election. So, be safe, be kind, and be blessed. And I see you next Saturday with another podcast topic and another good wine. Holla!